Yo, what's happening, people? This is Ramon here from Neeks Sports with your Europa League final preview between Arsenal and Chelsea. Boy, Arsenal are in the Europa League final, playing Chelsea in Azerbaijan in Baku. Now, before I start with the teams, I just need to have a quick conversation about what's actually happening here. So, we knew a while ago that the final was going to be played in Azerbaijan in Baku. We knew that this was going to be the situation, and we kind of saw earlier on in the season when Arsenal played Karabag in the Europa League group stages that there could be a problem. There could be a problem here. Visas weren't getting sorted out quick enough. People were having a problem with direct flights to Azerbaijan, and it was all a little bit of a mess. Now, in the reality of it is that we're not putting on the event. It's nothing to do with us. We're just going to watch our team, and we knew that we'd be going back there in a few months' time if we made it to the final. However, what we didn't realise, first of all, is that UEFA are going to give us an allocation of 6,000 tickets. So that's 6,000 tickets for Arsenal and 6,000 tickets for Chelsea, which is a mockery. It's a mockery, really, because you got two fans, which are 60,000 seat stadium, there or thereabouts. Arsenal's a bit bigger, Chelsea's a bit smaller, but these fans travel home and away in numbers. You know, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans have travelled literally all around Europe for the Europa League this season, into some far distant places, playing some teams literally all around Europe, all around Eastern Europe as well. And it was just, and places that are a nightmare to get to, including Azerbaijan. And how do you treat those fans? How do you treat those fans that have been there supporting the team, really helping this competition stay alive? Because, it's not watched worldwide as much as the Champions League is. These fans are really trying to, by supporting the team, pushing this Europa League. And how do you treat them? You give them 6,000 tickets for the final. That's the first mockery. The second mockery, there's no flights to direct to Baku. Now, that's not UEFA's fault, of course, but you're putting on an event for the fans. As your slogan says, you're doing this for the fans. And you put on this event, you put on a stage for both teams to go to, for Arsenal and Chelsea to witness their teams lift a European trophy. And a lot of the fans can't get there. There was a fan today complaining that his hotel that he booked was cancelled. He booked it last year, but it was cancelled and put up for 4 times the price online. And he's basically got nowhere to stay. Things like this, the infrastructure of what I would call a town that's maybe not fit to host a European final. You have to cater for everyone, and I know it's for everyone. It's for every team in the Europa League should have a chance to host a final. Well, if you can't really host fans, if you can't arrange for fans to get in a certain place at a certain time, if you can't arrange for teams to have all of their players get into their country, then really and truly, should you? I mean, should you really? And guys, let me know in the comments what you think. What should Azerbaijan really be allowed to host a European final with all of these problems going on? And that's one thing on it. And then the second thing, Henrik Mkhitaryan. And of course, you all know the situation with Henrik Mkhitaryan, but it really grinded my gears this week when we found out that he couldn't play in the final. And I'll tell you why. Henrik Mkhitaryan, he wasn't allowed to play in the group stages. Well, I say he wasn't allowed to play. There's a political situation between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And both countries have a political rivalry, something that's well known and quite well documented in the press. And Henrik Mkhitaryan didn't travel to play Karabag in the group stages, even though he was fully fit and he wasn't suspended or anything. He made an active decision not to go because of all the trouble that happens between the two. He's, of course, an Armenian citizen and plays nationally for the country. He's actually their biggest star. So anyone in Azerbaijan will automatically know that this guy's from Armenia. He didn't want to risk his life, and so for himself, he decided not to go. Now, UEFA knew the situation in early parts of the season, and of course, they didn't know Arsenal was going to make it to the final. But the reality is, it doesn't matter. Like, one player can't play in a European game because of where the country is held. I mean, this happened before in Champions League with Russia and Ukraine, and stadiums got moved because of fear of people's life, fans' life, players' life. But the reality is, really, it doesn't matter. Henrik Mkhitaryan, his life, could be at risk, and he's now decided this week to not travel. Yes, it is his decision. Yes, Arsenal did ask for clarification on this for UEFA to let them know and give them assurances of Mkhitaryan's safety. And yes, they said yes, he'll be safe as long as he goes to the cinema and play football. But the reality is, you don't know that. It's still Azerbaijan and it's still Armenia. There's still massive rivalries. There's still big political situations that could, cause his life to actually be in danger. On a serious note, forget football, put football aside. A man's not playing football in a country because him and his family fear for his life when he plays out there. Now, I don't think anyone should be forced to play somewhere where their life could be at risk, especially in a European final. This is supposed to be for everyone to play in. Like, if you're fit and you play for the team that's in the final, and you're part of the squad, you should have the right to play. Someone raised a good point today to me about wondering what would happen if this was Messi or Ronaldo. If the issue was between Argentina and Azerbaijan, do you really think Barcelona would be playing in that final with Messi without Messi in that squad just because of a political situation? They'll have to leave him at home. No, I don't think so. And this is a serious situation which UEFA really have to look into. And the last thing on this as well is that there's talks of Arsenal-Chelsea boycotting the match. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one because UEFA obviously putting on this tournament for both teams, and if they both decide not to play in it, like, what happens to the final? Does it get put in Wembley? Who makes that decision? Is it Arsenal and Chelsea to say we're making a decision to play there? Like, would UEFA agree to them if they boycotted the match because one player couldn't make it? But where's the stance for Arsenal to say, Mkhitaryan sit at home? He made a decision, but if Arsenal just say, okay, fair enough, you sit at home. Like, where's Arsenal saying to UEFA, we're not happy about this? You can put a statement out saying you're not happy about this, what you like. But unfortunately, football's all about money. And so whilst there's 26 million or whatever it is at stake to win the Europa League, Arsenal and Chelsea are both playing in this final in Azerbaijan. And genuinely, even if it was like an Aubameyang or a Lacazette, someone who's a key player for Arsenal, this wouldn't be just let down easily. But because there's a squad player like Mickey, who I actually believe, he came on against Valencia and he had a good performance there in the last sort of 15 minutes that he came on. He's a big impact player for us. So, not having Mkhitaryan, especially with Ramsey injured as well, means that, our squad is now limited of attacking players. Iwobi will be the obvious choice to come on to change the game if need be. But, Mkhitaryan for me is actually a big player, and he's not had a great season, but there's been times when he showed up. And actually, this could potentially, cost us a Europa League. So I don't think they should necessarily have maybe boycotted the match, but something needed to be made. A stance needed to be made from Arsenal and Chelsea to say, this is not on. You can't just host things where you want, expecting everyone to go there if there's massive political situations. Anyway, let's get on to the match because I'm fuming about this situation. Arsenal versus Chelsea. They're the two in the final. Listen, the pressure's on. The pressure's on Arsenal. The pressure's on Chelsea. Sarri needs a title because he's never won a cup before. But the reality is Chelsea are playing Champions League football whatever happens. They lose 5-0 on Wednesday and they're playing in the Champions League next year. They'll be playing. They're in. Doesn't matter. But for Arsenal, a trophy's at stake. And there's a lot of talk being made about Arsenal overhyping this game. You know, it's a Europa League game. There's talks about a parade happening for Arsenal. But at the end of the day, I'm a football fan. And in football, you want to win trophies. No, genuinely, that is why you watch your team to win trophies. Of course, you want to win the best trophy, the Premier League or the Champions League. They're sort of the two most biggest trophies you could win as an English Premier League team. But, you know, Arsenal were never going to win the Premier League. They're not good enough. Arsenal are never going to win the Champions League. They're not good enough. The League Cup, FA Cup, you could always get decent one and win that. But it's a cup competition. Anything can happen. But Europa League is a cup competition, but it's a competition that Arsenal would have eyed at the start of the season and said, you know what, realistically, looking at the teams in this competition, of course anyone can come down from the Champions League, but you know the majority will stay up that are good enough. The reality is Arsenal should be aiming to win this competition. And if Arsenal do win it, back the parade, celebrate it. Why not? Why not? It's a trophy. All right, it's a Europa League trophy, cool, but how many European trophies have Arsenal won in their history? 1, Cup Winners' Cup. 2, Cup Winners' Cups. A UEFA Cup final in 2000, we lost. Champions League final 2006, we lost. It's a European final. We celebrate FA Cups and we won it. We've won it more times than anybody else. But when it comes to Europa League, we want to start calming down consideration because it's only Europa League. It only gets us back in the Champions League. Well, actually, it's a trophy. It's a European trophy, and it's something that will go down in history as, you know, in Arsenal's history. It's big for us. You know, if we won 10 in a row, then I'd understand not have a parade. But listen, enjoy it, celebrate it, Arsenal, because, you know, you would have won a prestigious European trophy. But let me not get too ahead of myself because obviously the game hasn't even started yet. Yeah, pressure's on Arsenal, pressure's on Emery. He's won 3 Europa Leagues in a row, so people would expect him to go out and do it again. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy against Chelsea because Chelsea have got a very good team. But, however, Arsenal have turned up this season, for the majority of the big games when they needed to. Napoli, Valencia, Manchester United, Spurs, Chelsea, even Liverpool at home. There's games when you think Arsenal are down and out and they're never gonna win it, never gonna get anything out of it. They stepped up, and majority of those times it's been Aubameyang and Lacazette, and both men need to really step up their game if Arsenal are gonna have any hope of winning this Europa League. They're gonna need those two on the finest set of fire boots that they've ever got because this is massive. And Chelsea, well, for me, Chelsea, all eyes on Eden Hazard, really. Loftus-Cheek was injured in a friendly a couple of weeks ago. Sorry about that, bro, but I mean, why are you playing a friendly 3 days after the Premier League season is finished? They've obviously got a couple of injury problems at the moment as well with Rudiger, Loftus-Cheek, doubts about Kante as well. So, you know, Arsenal coming into this game, there's a chance, a big chance actually, that they could do something to Chelsea in the Europa League if all their guys are fit and on top form. Now I'm going to quickly run through the Arsenal lineup to let you guys know what I personally would pick. This is not what I think Unai Emery will do. I'm going to put the lineup that I think Emery will pick on Wednesday night. I'm going to start with the goalkeeper, and probably the biggest decision Emery has to make, really. In fact, the only real decision I think personally Emery has to make, and it's Cech or Leno. It's Cech, the goalkeeper that's been played the majority of the Europa League games. The second choice goalkeeper, if you like. The man who was a former Chelsea player, the man who's announced that he's retiring from football after this game, and the man who we now know to believe to be set to be the sporting director of Chelsea into next season. So, or does it go with Leno, who's, like I said, number one choice for Arsenal this season, has improved as the season's gone on and been quite a key player in Arsenal's sort of Premier League run going into the last few games of the season. Simple decision. Leno goes in. Leno's the best goalkeeper. And I would have said it regardless of whether Cech retired at the end of the season. I would have said it regardless of whether Chelsea he went to Chelsea or not at the end of at the end of the game. But Leno is our best goalkeeper. We're about to have an opportunity to win a European trophy. You play your best players. I'm sorry, Petr Cech, but yeah, I'd play Leno. That one thing that makes me think should play Czech. Could you play Czech? It's just that Champions League final, man. When I look back to that Champions League final, Chelsea against Bayern Munich, and Czech was brilliant. You know, saved the penalty. He doesn't even save many penalties, and then he saved some in the shootout as well. And I just feel like he's a man for the big occasions. And against Chelsea, what a fitting way for him to end his career by beating the club he served for so long. But yeah, I'd go Leno in goal. I'd go for a 3-4-3 formation. So starting at the back three, I'd go for Socrates, Koscielny and Monreal. It's actually a tough position, that back three. Not as tough as the goalkeeper situation, but because if you look at a defensive three, Monreal on the left of that, he's been a bit suspect in the past couple of months. He's not been himself, Nacho Monreal. And he's been chopping and changing at left back to wing back to centre back. But he just hasn't been looking that comfortable at centre back. So he's going to have to work a lot harder in this game. I mean, Mustafi, we all know he's got mistakes. That's obvious. It's out there. But who is actually a better centre back, Mustafi or Monreal? And I think that is the struggle that Emery has to do and deal with. And if it was me personally, I'd put Monreal there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mustafi actually played in the back three, just to give it a little bit of more of a solid shape. But with Mustafi, whatever is solid? What is it? Who knows? The four in midfield, if you like, sort of from right to left. Maitland-Niles will playing on the right wing back, and it's going to be a big game for Maitland-Niles. Stepped up into right wing back when Bellerin got injured and Lichtsteiner's form dipped. Carl Jenkinson's form, if you like, dipped. Had a poor season in the few games that he played. But Maitland-Niles has been a bit of a shining light in this average season, I'd say. Coming through the youth ranks. Obviously, he wants to be in his natural position at centre midfield. But when you get into a Premier League team, you got to just take wherever they put you at the start, to be honest. You got to get some experience. You got to play some games. And he's taken it with both hands. He's been really good at right wing back this season. And I've been happy with him. He's going to make some mistakes. He's young. He's not even his position. But I'll be happy with him. It just means that he's up against Eden Hazard if Hazard keeps his place. So Maitland-Niles, Torreira and Xhaka in the middle pick themselves really. And then left wing back Kolasinac. I think maybe that's where it would benefit playing Monreal because they know each other. On that left hand side, Kolasinac and Monreal I think could work quite well. I'm going to have in the front three, just playing behind the front two, Mesut Ozil. A lot of people talking about how he's been average this season. And you know what? I'm a massive Ozil fan, but I can agree. I know when a man's not been playing at his best, and he hasn't been playing at his best really and truly, Mesut Ozil. But this is the game we need you to step up, Mesut. I believe his quality is still there. And I believe, you know what? When you want to, you can turn a game on its head. And what a way to shut the critics up by creating or scoring a goal in the Europa League final. Of course, something that I've called for all season, Aubameyang and Lacazette to start up top. Remember earlier on in the podcast, people were saying they shouldn't play together. They're better off one on the bench, one. No, stop all of that. You play your best players. Lacazette and Aubameyang are two of Arsenal's best players, if not two of the best players at the club. It's a no-brainer for me. You have to play them together. When they linked up against Napoli, excellent. When they linked up against Valencia, excellent. This is what they do. They know each other really well. They link up really well. And I'd love to see them start together in the Europa League final come Wednesday night. That's about it for me, guys. I mean, you're probably waiting for a prediction. I'm going with 3-1 Arsenal. For the whole time this tournament's been on, I thought I had Chelsea as favourites. But now, Chelsea finished in the top 4 and Arsenal haven't. The pressure's on Arsenal. The pressure's on Unai Emery. And we just need to hope that these players step up and perform when it's needed to. We would love to have a European trophy, so come on Arsenal, bring it home. I'm going for 3-1 Arsenal. We'll wait and see. Guys, let me know what you think. Let me know your predictions, your lineup, what you think Emery should do. And this whole situation on Baku and Azerbaijan as well. Let me know if you think that Chelsea and Arsenal should both boycott the game. Thanks for watching the video, guys.